I still remember the weight of that envelope in my hands. Cream-colored paper, expensive stock, the kind my daughter Vanessa always preferred for important occasions. It arrived on a Tuesday morning, 3 weeks before what should have been the happiest day of her life. I was in my kitchen in Oakville, the same kitchen where I'd taught Vanessa to make her grandmother's butter tarts when she was 7. The morning sun caught the gold embossing on the envelope. My name, Patricia Lindstrom, written in careful calligraphy. I smiled as I slid my finger under the seal. The invitation was beautiful. Vanessa Chen Lindstrom and Bradley Morrison III request the pleasure of your company, June 15th. The Royal Canadian Yacht Club, black tie optional. Then I saw it, a small card tucked behind the main invitation, handwritten, Vanessa's perfect script. "Mum, we need to discuss your attendance. Please call me." My chest tightened. I set down my coffee and dialed immediately. "Vanessa? Sweetheart, I got the invitation. It's lovely, but what did you mean by Mum?" Her voice had that edge I'd been hearing more often over the past year. "Bradley and I have been talking. We're keeping the wedding very intimate, very curated." Curated. She'd never used words like that before she started working at that marketing firm downtown. "I don't understand. I'm your mother." "I know, Mum. But Bradley's parents are hosting at the yacht club. It's their circle, very established Toronto families. And with your background, we just think—" "My background?" I felt the room tilt slightly. "You know what I mean. The accent, the way you dress. Bradley's mother already made a comment about your shoes at Easter dinner." I looked down at my sensible flats, the same ones I'd worn for 23 years as a pediatric nurse at Sick Kids Hospital. The ones that had carried me through 12-hour shifts, through codes, through holding parents while their children fought for life. "Vanessa, I raised you by myself after your father died. I worked 3 jobs to send you to Upper Canada College. And I'm grateful, Mum. Truly. But this is my day. Bradley's family has expectations. His father sits on 3 boards. His mother chairs the hospital gala. I chaired the nurses' union for 8 years. She said, the kind of sigh that told me I was being difficult, being embarrassing, being too much of what I'd always been. "We've decided it's best if you don't attend the ceremony. We'll arrange a small dinner afterward. Just the 3 of us. You can wear something casual." The line went dead before I could respond. I stood in my kitchen for what might have been minutes or hours. The invitation sat on the counter mocking me with its elegant typeface. Somewhere in this house were the boxes I'd never unpacked, the ones with my nursing awards, the citation from the Hospital for Sick Children Foundation, the photograph of me shaking hands with the Minister of Health in 2003. The phone rang again. I jumped, hoping Vanessa had reconsidered. "Patricia?" "It's Helen Chen, my former mother-in-law, Vanessa's grandmother, Helen." "Did Vanessa?" "She called me an hour ago. Told me you were feeling unwell. Said you'd decided to take a trip to Vancouver during the wedding, visit your sister." "I didn't have a sister. That's not." "I know it's not true, Patricia. I've known that girl since she was born. She's lying. To everyone. To her future in-laws. To her friends. She's telling people you chose to travel instead of attending her wedding. The betrayal burned worse than I'd imagined possible. Helen, I don't know what to do. You do what you've always done. You survive. But Patricia?" Her voice softened. "Don't let her erase you. You're worth more than that." Over the next 2 weeks, I learned exactly how thorough Vanessa had been. She'd removed my name from the seating chart, called the venue with my photograph, instructing security to deny entry if I appeared. She'd posted on social media about how heartbroken she was that her mother chose a trip to Vancouver over her special day. The comments poured in. Friends I'd known for years, people from our church, turned cold. How could I abandon my daughter? What kind of mother misses her only child's wedding? I stopped answering my phone, stopped checking Facebook. I sat in my house and watched the dust motes dance in the afternoon light, wondering where I'd gone so wrong. On a Thursday morning, my old colleague Deepa called. We'd worked together at Sick Kids for 15 years before she left to start her own catering company. "Patricia, I need to tell you something. I just got a contract for a wedding, June 15th, Royal Canadian Yacht Club. My stomach dropped. It's Vanessa's wedding. The bride's mother specifically requested ethnic food options. She doesn't know my company is owned by an Indian woman who used to change her daughter's bedpans when she had appendicitis at 12. Despite everything, I laughed. A broken, terrible sound. Deepa, I can't. I need help that day. Big event, short notice. The pay is good. And Patricia? She paused. Sometimes you need to see something with your own eyes to really understand it. I should have said no, should have preserved what little dignity I had left, but there was something in Deepa's voice, a knowing, an understanding that this wasn't about revenge or crashing the wedding. This was about bearing witness to what my daughter had become. I'll need to stay in the kitchen, I said quietly. Of course. The morning of June 15th arrived with the kind of crystalline sunshine that Toronto saves for its most important days. I dressed in black pants and a white shirt, Deepa's company uniform. I pulled my gray hair into a tight bun and added a server's cap that shadowed my face. The Royal Canadian Yacht Club sat on the edge of Lake Ontario like a crown jewel. Sailboats bobbed in the marina. The building itself spoke of old money, old power, old Toronto. The kind of place where memberships passed from father to son for generations. I entered through the service entrance. The kitchen was organized chaos. Deepa squeezed my hand as I tied on an apron. You okay? No. But I'm here. I spent the next 2 hours preparing canapés. My hands moved on muscle memory. Precise, efficient. The same hands that had started IVs on premature babies. That had performed CPR on a 6-year-old until the code team arrived. That had held Vanessa when she was 3 days old, and her father had just died from a sudden heart attack. Through the kitchen doors, I could hear the ceremony beginning. The string quartet, the rustle of expensive fabric as guests stood. I focused on arranging smoked salmon on small rounds of pumpernickel. Patricia. Deepa touched my shoulder. Come here. She led me to the kitchen door. Cracked it open just enough to see. Vanessa stood at the altar in a gown that probably cost more than my car. She was beautiful. She'd always been beautiful. Bradley stood beside her in a perfectly tailored tuxedo. His parents sat in the front row, his mother wearing a diamond necklace that caught the light like captured stars. I should have felt angry. I should have felt righteous fury. Instead, I just felt tired. The ceremony ended. Guests filtered into the reception hall. I returned to my station, plating appetizers. The catering team moved in synchronized patterns, delivering food, clearing glasses, becoming invisible in the way service workers always do. I was arranging a tray of champagne flutes when it happened. One of the younger servers, nervous and new, caught his foot on an electrical cord. The champagne tower we'd spent an hour building teetered. Time slowed. I saw it falling. Saw the path it would take, saw the bride's white dress directly in its trajectory. My body moved before my brain caught up. 23 years of emergency response kicked in. I lunged forward, caught the top tier of glasses with one hand, steadied the structure with the other. Champagne sloshed but didn't spill. The tower held. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, the young server stammered. It's fine. Happens to everyone. Just breathe. I set the glasses down carefully, turned to return to the kitchen. Wait. The voice stopped me cold. Male, educated, authoritative. Bradley Morrison III stood 5 feet away, staring at me. You're Patricia Lindstrom. It wasn't a question. I froze, considered denying it, but my face was my face, and the cap had slipped during my champagne rescue. I'm just helping with catering. You're the Patricia Lindstrom. ICU pediatric nurse, 23 years at Sick Kids. You saved my little brother's life when I was 16. The room seemed to stop spinning. Guests nearby turned to look. I don't remember. Michael Morrison, February 1997. He was 7. Severe asthma attack during a hockey game. Stopped breathing in the ambulance. You were the receiving nurse. You intubated him in under 30 seconds. The doctor said another minute and he would have suffered brain damage. Memories flooded back. A small boy, blue-lipped, his older brother sobbing in the waiting room. the clean slice of competence, of training, of doing what needed to be done. "Michael is fine," Bradley continued, his voice growing louder. "He's a doctor now, pediatric pulmonology at Montreal Children's, because of you." "Bradley, sweetie, what's going on?" Vanessa appeared at his elbow, champagne in hand. Her smile faltered when she saw me. "Vanessa." Bradley's voice had changed. "This is Patricia Lindstrom, your mother, the woman you told me was traveling in Vancouver, the woman who is apparently catering our wedding." The color drained from my daughter's face. "I can explain. You told me your mother was too ill to travel. Then you said she chose a vacation over your wedding. Then you said she was uncomfortable with formal events." Bradley's jaw tightened. "You never mentioned she was the Patricia Lindstrom? The nurse who saved my brother's life, the woman I wrote about in my medical school application essay." The room had gone silent. 150 guests watched this domestic drama unfold. "Bradley, please, not here." He pulled out his phone, scrolled, turned the screen to face the crowd. It was a photograph, sepia-toned, grainy with age, a younger version of me in scrubs, holding a small boy. The boy was smiling, giving a thumbs up. The caption read, "1 week post-crisis. Patricia Lindstrom, RN, with patient Michael Morrison. Angel in scrubs." "My mother keeps this photo on her desk," Bradley said. "She's kept it for 29 years. When I told her I was marrying the daughter of a nurse from Oakville, she asked me if I'd met your mother, what she did, where she worked. And you told her?" Vanessa's voice was barely a whisper. "I told her you said your mother was a retired secretary who was too busy traveling to attend our wedding." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Bradley's mother stood, walked over. She looked at me with the kind of recognition that transcends social class. "Mrs. Lindstrom. I'm Margaret Morrison. We met briefly in 1997, though you probably don't remember. You sat with me in the ICU waiting room for 6 hours. You brought me tea. You told me Michael would be fine. You were right. I was just doing my job." "No." Margaret's voice was firm. "You did more than your job. You gave us our son back." She turned to Vanessa. "And you hid her. You erased her. You put her in a catering uniform at her own daughter's wedding." "Mrs. Morrison, I can explain." "There's nothing to explain, Vanessa. You're embarrassed by the woman who sacrificed everything for you, by the woman who saved my son's life, by someone who actually matters in this world." The silence was suffocating. I wanted to disappear, to fold into the expensive wallpaper and cease to exist. "I should go," I managed. "Wait." Bradley's father stepped forward. "I'm Robert Morrison. My wife has told me the story of Michael's crisis many times. You're something of a legend in our house, Miss Lindstrom." He glanced at Vanessa, disappointment clear in his eyes. "I'm beginning to understand why my son's fiancée was so evasive about her family background." "Fiancée?" someone whispered. "They're already married. The ceremony just ended." "Is that legally binding if it's built on lies?" another voice asked. I couldn't watch anymore. I removed my apron, folded it carefully, and set it on the nearest table. Deepa appeared beside me, her hand finding mine. "Come on," she said, "let's go." We walked toward the service exit. Behind us, I heard raised voices, Bradley and Vanessa arguing, Margaret Morrison's sharp words cutting through my daughter's protests. The wedding that was supposed to be perfect, dissolving into chaos. Deepa drove me home in silence. When we pulled up to my house in Oakville, she finally spoke. "You're stronger than she deserves. She's still my daughter. She's a grown woman who made a choice. You don't have to accept her back easily." I went inside, made tea, and sat in my kitchen, the same kitchen where this had all started 3 weeks ago. The invitation was still on the counter, a monument to rejection. My phone rang at 7 p.m., an unknown number. "Mrs. Lindstrom? This is Bradley Morrison. I apologize for calling. Your friend Deepa gave me your number." "Bradley, you don't need to." "I do. I need to apologize. For my part in this, Vanessa told me stories about her mother, about someone frivolous and unreliable, someone who prioritized herself over her daughter. I believed her without question. I never asked to meet you. I never verified anything. It's not your fault." It is, partially. I made assumptions about class and worth. I let my family's position blind me to what actually matters. My mother is furious. My father canceled the reception. Everyone went home. The marriage, well, we'll be having some difficult conversations. I don't want to be the reason. You're not. Vanessa's choices are the reason. The lies are the reason. You were just trying to survive. We talked for an hour. He told me about Michael, now Dr. Michael Morrison, who dedicated his life to helping children breathe, about how that one crisis had shaped their entire family, about how Margaret Morrison had volunteered with the Sick Kids Foundation for 25 years because of what I'd done. She wants to meet you properly, Bradley said. If you're willing, no pressure, no obligation, just coffee and conversation between two people who should have known each other years ago. I met Margaret Morrison the following week at a cafe in Yorkville. She was elegant in the way that old Toronto money carries itself, but her hands were warm when she clasped mine. I've thought about you so many times over the years, she said. Wondered where you were, if you knew how much that night mattered. I've worked hundreds of shifts, thousands of patients. That's the job. But you remember Michael. I did. I remembered all of them, the successes and the failures, the ones who made it and the ones who didn't, the parents I'd held and the families I'd shattered with bad news. Your daughter called me, Margaret said carefully. 3 times. I haven't answered. Robert thinks we should let Bradley sort this out on his own. What do you think? I think Vanessa is young and foolish and valued the wrong things. I think she hurt you terribly. I also think, she paused, choosing her words, I think she's learning an expensive lesson about what really matters in life. Over the next few weeks, the story leaked. Not through me, I never spoke to media, but guests talked. Someone had filmed the confrontation on their phone. It spread through Toronto's social circles like wildfire. The bride who hid her mother, the mother who saved lives, the wedding that imploded. Vanessa called me once, left a voicemail. Her voice was small. Mum, I don't know what to say. I was wrong. I was horrible. I know, sorry doesn't cover it. Bradley's parents won't speak to me. Half our wedding guests have unfollowed me on social media. Bradley says we need counseling before he'll consider staying married. I lost my job. My boss said they couldn't have someone with such character concerns representing the firm. She paused. I could hear her crying. I don't deserve your forgiveness, I know that, but I'm asking anyway, because you're my mother. Because I spent my whole life wanting to be more than what I came from, and I didn't realize what I came from was the best thing I'd ever have. I didn't call her back that day, or the next, or the one after that. Margaret Morrison did call, asked if I'd consider attending the Sick Kids Foundation Gala in September as her guest. Her honored guest. I've been trying to track you down for years to invite you, she said. This year we're honoring nurses who've made exceptional contributions to pediatric care. Your name came up immediately. The selection committee was unanimous. Margaret, I don't need recognition. I know. That's exactly why you deserve it. The gala was at the Fairmont Royal York. I wore a dress I bought specifically for the occasion, navy blue, elegant without being ostentatious. My gray hair was styled professionally. I wore the pearl earrings my mother had given me before she died. Margaret found me as soon as I arrived. So did Michael Morrison, Dr. Morrison, now a handsome man in his 30s, with his brother's eyes and his mother's warm smile. Miss Lindstrom. He shook my hand firmly. I've wanted to thank you for 29 years. I'm alive because you refused to panic, because you knew exactly what to do. I became a doctor because of you. We talked for 20 minutes. About his work, about the children he'd saved, about how that crisis in 1997 had set the course of his entire life. You gave me a future, he said simply. I'm trying to pay that forward. The ceremony started. I sat with the Morrisons, watched as nurses I knew, colleagues I'd worked beside, received awards for their service, for their sacrifice, for the invisible work that keeps the world running while others take credit. When they called my name, I froze. Margaret squeezed my hand. Go. You've earned this. I walked to the stage on trembling legs. The presenter read my citation. 23 years at Sick Kids, Thousands of patients, countless lives changed. Letters from parents thanking me for saving their children. Notes from doctors praising my competence under pressure. Testimonials from colleagues who'd learned from watching me work. The room stood, 400 people in formal wear, applauding a 62-year-old woman who'd spent her life in scrubs and sensible shoes. I saw her as I returned to my seat. Vanessa, standing at the back of the ballroom, tears streaming down her face. She wasn't supposed to be here, wasn't invited, but she'd come anyway. Our eyes met across the crowded room. She mouthed one word, "Sorry." I didn't acknowledge her. Not yet. I sat back down beside Margaret Morrison, accepted congratulations from people I'd never met, smiled for photographs with my award. But I saw Vanessa leave, saw her shoulders shake with sobs as she pushed through the doors into the Toronto night. Bradley called me the next day. "My mother told me Vanessa showed up last night, that you saw her." I did. She's been trying to change, seeing a therapist, volunteering at a women's shelter. She gave away half her clothes to charity. She's working as a receptionist at a legal clinic, helping low-income families. She knows she can't undo what she did, but she's trying to become someone different. That's good. She wants to see you, properly. No excuses, no expectations, just to tell you, in person, how sorry she is. I'm not ready yet. I understand. Take all the time you need. But Patricia, she's my wife. I'm choosing to give her a chance to be better. Not because I've forgiven everything, but because I believe people can change if they're willing to do the work. I thought about that for days, about forgiveness and consequences, about the difference between accepting an apology and pretending harm never happened. 6 months after the wedding that wasn't, I finally agreed to meet Vanessa for coffee. She looked different, smaller somehow. Her designer handbag was gone, replaced with something from Winners. Her hair was simpler, her makeup minimal. She looked like someone who'd been broken and was slowly reassembling the pieces. "Thank you for coming," she said quietly. "I came to listen. Not to absolve you." "I know." She twisted her hands together. "I've been in therapy, working through a lot of things. The therapist says I developed class anxiety after Dad died, that I associated financial struggle with pain, and I thought if I could just climb high enough, marry well enough, become sophisticated enough, I'd never hurt again. So you hurt me instead." "Yes." Her voice broke. "I hurt the person who sacrificed everything to give me opportunities, who worked herself to exhaustion so I could have riding lessons and private school and university, who never complained, never asked for gratitude, never made me feel like a burden. And then you made me wear a catering uniform at your wedding." She flinched. I know what I did. I know I can't take it back. The whole city knows what I did. I lost my job, my social circle, my sense of self. Bradley almost left me. His parents barely speak to me. And I deserve all of it." "Yes, you do." We sat in silence. The coffee shop buzzed around us. Young professionals on laptops, students studying for exams, normal people living normal lives, unaware of the reconciliation happening in the corner booth. "I don't know if I can forgive you," I said finally. "Not yet. Maybe not ever fully. What you did wasn't just embarrassing me, it was denying my existence, erasing the sacrifices I made, treating me like something shameful. I know, but..." I took a breath. "I'm willing to try, not because you deserve it, but because I want to be someone who can move forward, someone who doesn't let bitterness define the rest of my life." Vanessa's tears fell onto the table. "I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you. You can't make it up to me. You can only be better going forward. We meet once a month now, coffee or lunch. Sometimes we talk about the past, but mostly we talk about the present, about her volunteer work, about Bradley's research at the hospital, about the small ways she's trying to rebuild herself into someone worthy of the sacrifices made for her. Bradley and his parents have been kind. Margaret Morrison has become something of a friend. She invited me to join the Sick Kids Foundation board. I declined. I'm too old for boardrooms, but I agreed to speak at their nursing recruitment events, to tell young people considering healthcare that the work is hard and thankless and absolutely worth doing. Michael Morrison sends me a card every February, the anniversary of the day I saved his life. He writes about his patients, about the children he's helped breathe easier, about the ripples that spread from one moment of competence and care. I think about that sometimes, about ripples, about how one action can cascade through decades, touching lives you'll never meet. How saving one small boy in 1997 led to a doctor who's now saved hundreds more. How that same boy's gratitude led to my public recognition. How that recognition forced my daughter to confront what she'd done. The world is strange and interconnected in ways we can't predict. I'm 63 now. My gray hair is fully white. My hands have arthritis that wasn't there 2 years ago. I'll never work another shift at Sick Kids. That part of my life is finished. But I'm not finished. I volunteer at the community health clinic twice a week. I mentor nursing students. I show up for the Sick Kids Gala every year, wearing my navy dress and pearl earrings, reminding the city that some kinds of work matter more than marble floors and yacht club memberships. Vanessa is trying. That's all I can ask. She'll never be the daughter I thought I'd raised, innocent and kind and unspoiled by ambition, but maybe she'll become someone better, someone who learned the hard way what truly matters. Bradley asked me recently if I had any regrets. If I wished I'd fought harder to attend the wedding, if I wished I'd exposed Vanessa before she exposed herself. I thought about it carefully before answering. No, I said finally, because if I'd forced my way in, she never would have learned. Sometimes people need to fall completely before they understand what they've lost. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is step back and let consequences teach the lesson you couldn't. He nodded slowly. My mother says you're the wisest person she knows. Your mother saved my life as much as I saved Michael's. She gave me back my dignity when your wife tried to take it. That's a debt I can't repay. She doesn't see it as debt. She sees it as correction, as setting right something that was horribly wrong. I look at my life now and see it clearly. Not through the lens of what I lack: a daughter's easy love, an invitation to her wedding, acceptance into Toronto's elite circles, but through the lens of what I have: work that mattered, lives that I touched, a legacy of competence and care that outlasted one woman's attempt to erase me. If I could tell my younger self anything, the woman standing in her kitchen 3 weeks before a wedding, reading that devastating note, I would tell her this: you are enough. You have always been enough. And the people who can't see that are revealing their own poverty, not yours. Value isn't found in yacht clubs or designer gowns or carefully curated guest lists. Value is built in hospital rooms at 3 a.m., in steady hands during crisis, in showing up day after day for work that no one notices until it's not there. I saved lives. I raised a daughter alone. I did my job with competence and grace for 23 years, and when someone tried to make me invisible, the universe itself pushed back and said, no, she matters. Her work matters. Her sacrifices matter. That's not revenge. That's justice. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, they're the same thing.